Hey you guys, I hope that you are all doing really well. I'm quite excited about this particular video because it's something that I mentioned a couple months back and got really great feedback on as something you guys would really like to see a video of, and that is I'm going to give 15 tips for dealing with anxiety. Unfortunately, this is something I know quite well. I have dealt with anxiety for most of my life, I'll put it that way. Usually, anxiety or different kinds of things like it will show up in our early teens. Anywhere between like 16 and 21 or so. If there's something that you do have genetically or maybe have just from life experience, etc., you would typically see it poke its ugly head during those years. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. But yes, I have dealt with it the majority of my life, almost all, if you consider that I don't remember before a certain age because of just being young. So I have a lot of personal tips to share with you guys today. I hope that they are helpful to you. So let's get started. The first item that I have is to go along with the first tip. So each tip will have an item to kind of go with it in sound. So the first one is understanding what it is that you are dealing with. So, for example, I actually did not know I was having panic attacks until not long ago, to be honest with you. I think I had had them at one point in my life, and then about 5 years ago, I've had a handful since, and honestly, I did not know what it was that I was feeling. I just knew it felt like death, just like the worst. It's just not a joke, man. If you've experienced it, my heart breaks for you. It's just, I don't wish it upon anybody. That said, if you understand a bit about what your physical body is experiencing, it's a lot less scary. It's also a lot less scary to recognize that other people's bodies are doing the same thing when they experience this kind of fear or panic. For the most part, I've dealt with anxiety, but like I said, I've had bouts of panic attacks. So this is a book that my friend recommended to me. She lent it to me. Honestly, I actually have not looked at it, but I thought it'd be a good representation for just understanding, taking the time to learn about the things that you are dealing with. I think going to a psychiatrist, talking to family members that have experienced the same thing, a lot of times it's genetic, open up about those things. So understand it, look into it, learn what these things are and how they affect your body and everybody's, not everybody, but anybody who experiences it will be a great resource for you as well. The internet, maybe not the best. I would just probably try to speak to a professional. Learn about it. Don't just sit with it and be terrified of it. So I wanted to do this one, number 2, very early on in the video because I personally find it to be very helpful. And this is my Prozac. Hello, introduction to my Prozac. So my family history lends itself to this particular medication being very helpful and working with my body really well with the OCD and anxiety. I'm obviously not suggesting everyone take Prozac, but I am using this as a visual to just let you know that there are really great medical resources out there for you. To go to a psychiatrist, talk about your experience. It's really helpful. I did not do this when I should have. So that's why I encourage it. I should have done it really like a long time ago. I kind of just lived with it and thought like I could get through that on my own. I could figure it out. I could think enough. I could, and a lot of other reasons as well. So do look into it. Meet with a psychiatrist, and they can help you identify what might work best with your body. I happen to have it run, a lot of these sorts of things run in my father's side of the family, and not until recently have people actually started to attempt to use medication to kind of help. Prozac really helps for my body because of my circular thinking, OCD, in my brain. Not so much everything has to be in its spot and clean, as much as my thoughts will go over and over and over. I would say this has helped most significantly with that. And the psychiatrist I met with suggested that typically, sometimes anxiety is a result of experiencing a lot of OCD in your brain, a lot of thoughts going circular. So it really helps with that. And as a follow-up of that, or a result of that, there it is. As a result of that, my anxiety is less. I do also just want to mention that one thing in terms of meds that have helped me is to have a simple like Ativan, which is like a medication that will help with a panic attack in particular, that comes upon you suddenly. I keep those in my bag at all times, just like a couple of them, and that's just like gives me a lot of peace of mind, because it really helps if you're in a panicky state. It just calms you in a really nice way. It's not weird, it just calms you, and it makes you a little bit like sleepy, which is honestly quite comforting when your body is like okay. So actually just having it on hand prevents me and a lot of people from even having a panic attack, because you have a solution right there that's going to help. So it's like, I'm not even that scared because there's a solution. I think a lot of times the fears we have is because there won't be a solution. We don't know how to stop it. And it's terrifying, right? Guys, if you've experienced it, good. So I took a little bit more time on those because they're really helpful. They're all helpful, but they take a little bit more time to explain. So number 3. These are just like, it's just a simple tip that has really helped me. And it is to write out lists and kind of delegate who's doing what in your life, or what you need to do and when. So I'm going to write a few things that I couldn't quite come up with, like an item to go with it. So it's write out lists. So you might have things swirling around in your brain if you have anxiety, and there might be tons of different areas of your life: work, family, friends, conflict, love, etc., etc. If you can write out, get those thoughts out of your head and onto physical paper, or I do it on my phone, I just write them into my notes section, kind of like a journal. If you have a journal, something like that, get them out of your head and onto a list, look at them, and then actually talk about each point. Okay, I'm stressed about this work situation. What can I do to solve that problem? I don't need to think about that until Thursday, for example. So I'm gonna put that lower on the list of priorities. What about this conflict I'm having? That's really important to me. I'm gonna schedule a time to talk to that person. I'm going to schedule time to pray about that. I'm going to schedule a time to get counseling for that, etc. Make those lists, write things down, and make an action plan, like when those things are going to get done and in what order. If you have things that are in your mind that actually someone else is supposed to get done, make that list for them and give it to them, and get them out of your brain. And then they can make a list. Just kidding. Okay. Next, number 4 is, let me look on my list here. Oh, okay. Gosh, this one has really helped me. This is a timer. Now, I use the timer on my phone, but I wanted to give you guys something physical to look at that goes with the point. I have found that with anxiety, often it's a lot of thoughts, like I've just said many times. And sometimes we get stuck thinking of those things over and over. And sometimes I have found that it helps me to give myself a time limit to think about something. So I will set a timer for 5 minutes, and I'll say I'm going to think about this issue for 5 minutes. Once that timer is up, I'm done. Maybe tomorrow or this evening I can give myself another 5 minutes. But you don't want to get to a place where you're sitting there for 1 hour mulling over thoughts and thoughts and thoughts that are just giving you more and more anxiety. Give yourself a time limit on it, and know that as you take those small portions of time, you'll probably get more done and get more solutions figured out in your brain for those different things that you're thinking about. So, a timer. Number 5 is just support from family, friends, community. This is a really funny item. I wanted to do like a picture frame, because you'd put pictures of loved ones in it. And this is like a tiny coaster picture frame, so to take the picture out. So obviously having support from loved ones is huge. It's important to talk about this stuff verbally with people. Obviously you've probably heard this, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be worried about in people thinking you have this. I'm like really proud of my family. Anyway, I have family members that deal with the same thing as I, and we joke, it's like that it's our tribe. We're like, oh, you're from my tribe. You experience this too. You crazy also. Excellent, you're part of my family then. You're my tribe. We just kind of joke about it. It's fun, like it's, talk about it. It's like it's my close family member, I won't say who, that also deals with this. It's like we just joke about it, and it's a relief in a way to be like, okay, so you had that happen too. Fantastic. And it just kind of opens up dialogue for it to not be so abnormal, because it's really not. And it was stigmatized for quite a lot of years. Really, it's just like our brain chemistry. There's things going on in there. Or it could be a life stage, something that's really legitimately going on, and our body is responding to it. So talk about it with family and friends. You'll be surprised to hear that many of them deal with it also, to different levels. It's really wonderful when you meet someone that's dealt with it in the same way or a similar way that you have. In fact, recently I've met a friend who were like kindred spirits in many ways. She's also a dancer and has experienced so many things that I have, and it's like just nice to talk about it and feel it's a bit normal. Not that it's good, but to know like that things your body is doing, oh, her body is doing that too. Okay, next, I am sure you can guess what this next tip is based on the item. Exercise is really helpful for anxiety. When you're really in an anxious state, it can really help. I often am so much I'm so grateful for my dance classes when I'm feeling a bit anxious or a lot anxious. It does help. It increases your endorphins, which helps your body just feel better overall. It's like a natural high and can kind of get thoughts like into reality. Something that seems like really intense might, when you're exercising, calm down a bit and feel more doable, more manageable, more clear. It's really good to do exercise daily. If you can even do it on a schedule, like at the same time every day. A lot of people with anxiety, for me, I've experienced this and many others, a schedule can actually quite help a bit. Just having a schedule in general can decrease anxiety, and I'll get to another point on that soon. So whatever type of exercise you want to do, whether it be walking or jogging or kickboxing or a sport, you might go play soccer on a team, or you might dance like myself, so whatever you would like to do. This is heavy. Okay. Number 7 is to say no and cancel things when you need to. I'm going to write that one. Oh no, I did have something for that, yes. This is my makeshift stop sign. Giant red circle was the best that I could do to represent stop, say no to things, cancel things, slow down. A lot of people have a tendency to say yes to too many things and end up feeling very anxious. So it's important in your life to decide what to say yes to and what to say no to, and I will come to another point about that in a bit that will kind of help you figure out what to say yes and no to. But if you are really anxious and you've got 5 things on your plate, cancel a few if you need to do that for your mental health, your physical health. People will understand. They will understand if you need to cancel something. And if they don't, it's probably not a great friend, Or, you've got to decide what are the things I have to be at and what are things I want to be at, or are things that are appropriate to cancel. And cancel those things. So staying away from being a people pleaser, just trying to please the people around you instead of take care of yourself so you can, love people better, right? Okay, number 8 is breathing exercises. You guys are gonna... My husband did make fun of me for this, and he had every right to. This is my physical item to represent breathing. It is a baby toy harmonica. Yes, it is. A baby toy harmonica. Because you blow into it, okay? You probably get it. So, this is something I learned fairly recently. Again, I think I wish I had learned a lot of these things earlier. Simple breathing techniques when you're feeling very anxious include breathing in for example, give yourself a time frame, like I believe you're supposed to breathe in longer than you breathe out because you're getting more oxygen inside of your body. So for example, you could breathe in for 10 and breathe out for 5 or 7, something like that. So you want to breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release the breath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again for 10, 1, 2, 3, etc. First of all, it slows your breathing down. Typically with anxiety, you start breathing really fast. And if you can slow that down and focus your brain on the counting, it really can help. There was one time I was having so much anxiety, I'm not exaggerating, half my body had gone numb, and it was happening for about a week. Slowly different parts were going numb, and that made me even more terrified, of course. I thought it was like a stroke. Of course you think, well, that's actually a real symptom of a stroke. I wasn't that crazy to think it, but it turns out anxiety can do the weirdest stuff to your body. It was just anxiety. Like, weird, right? Half my like left arm, left leg, and my left part of my face. And when I started breathing, slowly it just went away. So yeah, stress can do some weird stuff. Anxiety can do some weird things to your body. I don't want to blow that for you. It'd be quite obnoxious. Okay. Number 9. Okay, so not everyone has to believe what I believe. I've said that in my videos before. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone gets it. Blah, blah, blah. So I have my Bible as my next item for a tip. Whenever I'm feeling quite anxious, or I've got something in my life that is just outrageous, hard to handle, just anxiety and panic attacks, fear can be just the worst thing you could ever experience, you know. And so it's just something I've turned to God for and asked for help. And he has helped me over and over in different ways and facets over time, been shaping and forming ways for me to receive different kinds of help. But the peace that I receive knowing that he will answer is the number one thing for me. He has never failed to answer me and be there for me. For people, not just me. So if that's ever something you are open to, ask God for help on him. Just be like, God, maker of the universe, you, someone who created all of this and everything, please help me. Honestly, try it. You'll be surprised. Okay. Number 10 is ASMR. I'm just going to grab an item that I chose for tapping on for ASMR. Okay, ASMR is so awesome. I have been dealing with some anxiety quite a bit actually regarding a situation though, not just a general like this is just in my body for no reason kind of anxiety, which happens also, but a very specific situation. And I found myself unable to like do what I usually would do to relax. It just doesn't do the trick. And so I have put ASMR videos on even just during the day, which is not normal for me. Usually I just watch them at night on my phone in bed going to sleep. I know a lot of you watch them for the reason I'm about to say, but it's just calming and relaxing during the day. If you're having an anxious moment, to sit down, put your headphones in or not, just watch a video, and it's amazing the scientific way that our brains, the people that experience tingles and ASMR, it's very relaxing and kind of does what I feel it the same kind of experience I have when dancing or doing exercise, where I explained that your thoughts can kind of become a little bit less overwhelming. You can kind of see things more for what they are and less catastrophic, and you kind of can peacefully sort through things a bit better. So put on an ASMR video. Number 11. This is plan your day the day before or the morning of. So I got out like a calendar, just as an idea of planning a planner. Having a plan for your day can really decrease anxiety. During really busy times for me, I have found that planning the day the night before the day begins is most helpful. It does take some discipline to do that, but your day, it changes your day completely. Or lately, as I've been dealing with anxiety that I just mentioned, I have been waking up in the morning, and the first thing that I do is sit for a minute, and I first I just like pray and I spend some time with God, and then I make a list of all the things in my head that I have to get done that day. And then if you want to be really more specific about it, you can actually order the things that you're going to do in the day. So planning is really helpful for people dealing with anxiety, and even consistency in your daily routine or schedule can really help with anxiety. Try and have a consistent schedule daily, that there's something you know when things are going to happen. I work from home and I have a really random schedule, so it's not the same every day, which is why I have to sit down each day and say these are the things I've got to do and go from there. So it's possible even if you have a really random schedule. Okay, number 12 is simply resources such as group support, psychiatrists, counselling, meds, kind of the whole gamut. But specifically, like when I found out there are groups you can meet with just through your local psychiatrist. If you have any kind of medical plan that allows you to see a psychiatrist, or if you don't, you can still see a psychiatrist outside of that, and they will have resources like groups you can meet with other people that are going through what you're experiencing. If, for example, you don't have family and friends to do that with, that understand, you might have no one in your life who really gets it, and that can be helpful to feel like there are resources. I'm not alone and helpless and hopeless, because it can feel very lonely and it can feel very helpless. Like, it's in my head. How is this? It's like you feel like you're in jail in your own mind, sort of. So to have resources that can actually help, and just people that are helping you walk through things, like a psychiatrist talking through things, that can really help. I didn't have an item for that. I was going to do that book again, but I'm just going to leave it. So number 13. What's 13? Oh, it's this. I knew I had this here for a reason. I thought it was kind of relaxing and soft for a video about anxiety, so I wanted to leave it the whole time. But this next one is I'm going to call it Not at Night. A lot of us with anxiety find ourselves in the middle of the night pondering every possible thing that's going to be going wrong, that we have to do, any relationship that's not great, every single thing. It's like at night time, it just all comes out. It's great. So I have made a rule for myself in the last, I'd say 4 years. I kind of implemented this. Not at night. Don't think about that at night. It's time to sleep, and sleep is huge for dealing with anxiety. Make sure you get sleep. And so if you're not letting yourself go down that path of thinking of things at night, it will help you to sleep better. If you are someone who knows you're going to do that, get your note paper out before you go to sleep and write down every thought that's nagging at you, that you have to do, that you're worried about, that you're concerned about. People on your brain, relationships, work, etc. Write those things down, get them out of your head. And if you want to write down a few, like I said earlier, write your list and maybe delegate. When am I going to think about this? When am I going to figure this out? Do that. Put it aside and go to sleep. And if you find yourself in the middle of the night going to those thoughts, you can try breathing. You can try counting, no joke. It actually does work sometimes. I just count until I fall asleep. And honestly, that can be a lot of numbers. If you catch my drift, sometimes it takes a long time. But another tip I gave one time in a video was to play with your hair if you start to like wake up and your mind starts thinking, or like sometimes I do something and many of you resonated with it, or like I'll fidget with like, or like doing something like this to like calm myself, and it's like relaxing, but it's also something to focus on. So those are a few tips you can do at night if your brain wants to go to a list. A, make the list before you sleep. B, breathing, like counting and counting out. That's kind of, that counting idea is there as well. And then just generally counting sheep, or just counting until you just are, you're like at 3,000, and just keep going. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. But I would highly recommend not letting yourself go through those scenarios at night. Okay, number 14. This is something I mentioned previously. I'm going to write it down. It's know your priorities. Okay? Know your priorities. That does require sometimes not just thinking about it, but possibly writing down what are your top, say, 5 priorities in life. And you can write them down and then put them in order of importance from most important to least. So for me, for example, I keep this in my brain all the time, and there are times when I have to readjust what priority is what, but typically now your list will probably look very different than mine, and it doesn't really matter what your list looks like as long as it's your priorities. Okay, so for me, I would go God, husband, family, close friends, ministry, and work. That's the list of my priorities, as well as the order that I look at them in. So if something comes into my life and I get an opportunity, like the other day someone called me, was like, can you dance for this project, and I was like, I had too many things going on at that time, and as much as I really wanted to do it, I knew it would cause me anxiety if I said yes to it. So I kind of had to look and say, okay, well, it's not fitting there, not here, it wasn't in this case here, and it wasn't in this case here. It could sometimes fall into this or this for me, dance, but it didn't. It was like for fun on the side, and I wanted to, but I needed to say, I can't now, can we do that another time? Or, can this group meet another time? And if not, I'd like to be part of that in the future. But it's sometimes really hard, like I said, to say no, especially if it's something you just want to do. And that's a priority also, to taking care of yourself and doing something you love. But I actually dance regularly, and I don't need to go and do a performance to get that satisfied for me. So in fact, I could probably put dance right underneath there, but that gives you an idea. You kind of run it through your list when someone comes to you and says, hey, you want to come to this party on Saturday? And you're like, yep, I do. You have to first go, am I in an overwhelmed state? Am I extremely anxious right now? If I got way too much going on, run it through your list and go, probably a bad idea, unfortunately. And if you're not anxious, no big deal, right? But if you're dealing with anxiety at the time, and doing too many things causes you more anxiety, that's probably a good idea to have a list of priorities. Know them well in your head at any given time. And if you can't think of it in the moment and someone asks you, just say, I'll get back to you. You don't have to answer right away. So saying no and cancelling things was number 7, and that's important in this kind of scenario I'm just describing, because you can just stop and say, let me think about that, and then you can take that time to ponder your your priorities and get back to the person to say yes or no. I had a tendency to just jump and go, yes, yeah, I'll be there, that sounds fun. And I had to stop and say, let me get back to you. And then I found a lot more peace going, oh my gosh, I almost said yes to that. That would have been like so anxiety inducing. I'm really glad I thought that through. Okay, number 15. I wrote Netflix. Now, for you, it's good. What the idea of this is like watching something, or maybe reading something if you love to read, or watch a show that will take your brain to another place. Now, not permanently, not to put a band-aid on something, but when you are feeling really anxious and you recognize you're in a cycle of thoughts, it can help to watch Tommy Boy. Just kidding. It can help to watch something on Netflix, to watch a show, to watch a TV show, just something that you enjoy. Get into a good book that will just kind of bring you into a different storyline. And it does that same thing where it kind of removes you from like the chaos of your thoughts and gives you a bit more ability to see more clearly and make decisions, and things don't seem so catastrophic. And sometimes it actually just takes away anxiety, whatever you were just like feeling in your tummy, that anxiousness. Sometimes it will just actually go away for me when I've watched a show for 20 minutes that I'm really into. It just takes it away. Now, not every time, but it has happened quite a few. It's actually quite helpful. I literally consider it a tool for anxiety. And when I met with a psychiatrist, I mentioned that, and they said, you know what? You've come up with a lot of tools on your own, unfortunately, over the years, that are really things we suggest to patients. But because I hadn't seen a psychiatrist for a majority of that time, I was like coming up with ideas on my own. It was very like a lonely process. So a lot of these ideas came out of that. But they're like things that any psychiatrist might know and be able to suggest to you. Instead of you working on your brain cycling so much and being so exhausted from that, to find those resources earlier on, I would highly recommend. So this was just, I grabbed a movie to kind of represent watching a show at a TV, and it happened to be Tommy Boy. I will say light-hearted things are going to typically, maybe not for everyone, but might help a bit more than something like, I found that if I'm overwhelmed, it's hard for me to watch something heart-wrenching or depressing, like the depths of life, and you're watching this horrifying life experience of someone, and you know that can be hard when you're anxious. It can help if it's a bit more light-hearted. So thank you guys so much for watching. I should probably have explained why I have a taped heart with a crown on it on my Bible. That was probably weird for most of you. I'm going to go ahead and try and explain that another time. Okay. So, yeah, I would be curious to know if any of those tips were new to you guys. If you plan on trying them. I'd also obviously love to know if any of them work. Also, if you want to hear more, like there's a lot more that I could think of, but I tried to stop at 15 because like look, it's already like a 45-minute video almost, and I want to give details, so it's not just like, it needs to be clear, you know. Okay, my giant stop sign. The book down there. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that was helpful in some way, and I hope to see you guys again soon.